Good day everyone. So ngayon pag-uusapan natin about sa OSI model. So yung topics na pag-uusapan natin ay yung mga sumusunod. First, what is OSI model? Yung 7 layers and how data flows through the OSI model. So what is the OSI model? So OSI stands for Open System Interconnection. So it deals with open systems. It is the theoretical stack of 7 layers that can be used as reference to help understand how networks operate. So, yung OSI model ay merong 7 layers: the physical layer, data link layer, network layer, transport layer, session layer, presentation layer, and the application layer. So, yung layers 1 to 4 relate to communications technology, and yung layers 5 to 7 relate to user applications. Data flows from layer 7 down to layer 1 from the sender, and then flows from layer 1 to layer 7 on the recipient device. So, magsimula tayo sa physical layer, which is yung layer 1. So, let's take a look at the layers starting from the bottom up. So, layer 1 is the physical layer. It is the lower layer of the OSI model. So, its key responsibility is to carry the data across physical hardware, such as Ethernet cables layer. So, how is the data in with this layer? So, the frames are sent to the physical layer where data is converted to bit streams of ones and zeros and transferred across a medium such a wireless connection or cables. So layer 2, the data link layer. So at this layer, the physical addresses are added to the data. So this is the source and destination MAC addresses. Switches are also located at this layer. So data bits are encoded, decoded, and organized in the data link layer. So before they are transported as frames between two adjacent nodes on the same LAN or WAN. So it is an architecture model for a set of telecommunication protocols. Next is layer 3, the network layer. The network layer handles IP addressing and routing. So at this stage of the OSI model, the source and destination IP address are added routers operate on this layer. So routing can be based on a static tables determined at the start of each session and individually determined for each packet reflecting the current network load. Next layer is the transport layer. So the transport layer of the OSI model adds the transport protocols such as TCP and UDP. So for example, it is used for errors handling and sequencing to ensure no data is lost. So this layers also adds the source and destination port numbers. Next is layer 5, the session layer. So this layer is responsible for establishing and terminating connections between devices. So it allows two applications on different computers to establish, use, and end a session. So it also establishes dialog control, regulates which side transmits plus when and how long it transmits. The next layer is the layer 6, which is the presentation layer. So this layer formats the data in a way the receiving application can understand. So this layer is also able to encrypt and decrypt data if needed. Now, the last layer is the layer 7, which is the application layer. So this layer is where the application and user communicates application specific. Protocols are also used here, such as SMTP. If you're sending an email, for example, a really good way to remember these layers is simply all people seem to need data processing, PST and DP. So to fully understand how this model works, here's the example. So let's say you send an email, the data travels through the OSI model adding and processing data on each layer, and this process is called encapsulation. So, step 1, the application layer. Our load creates the data, the email you wrote, the email addresses, etc., and gets ready to send it using SMTP, which is the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So step 2, the presentation layer. So here, the data is formatted in a way the receiving device will understand in this example. Probably SC111, this layer could also encrypt the data if needed. So step 3, the session layer. A session with receiving mail server is started. Step 4, the transport layer. So this is where it decides to use TCP or UDP. So in this case, we will use TCP to make sure every packet gets delivered. Also, the source and destination port is added to the data. So step 5, the network layer. So the IP address of the mail server is added, as the destination and the source IP address is also added to the data. Step 6, the data link layer. So the MAC address of the router and the source MAC address of the host is added to the data. And the last, step 7, physical layer. So the data is sent out on the network using Ethernet. So when the data reaches the other side, the receiving device will process the data in the same way but in reverse, starting from the bottom up. So that's all po. Thank you.